Hello painters, it's Debbie from acrylicpouring.com, back today to do a negative space painting. So if you looked back at some of the videos I've done before, there was back in July a YouTube challenge where we had to use the true primary colours of CYM, so basically Cyan, for which I have this Liquitex Basics Cerulean Blue, Y for yellow, and I've got a Blick Student Acrylic Chrome Yellow, and M for Magenta, and I have an Art Alternatives Magenta. And in our pour we had to work with these three colours and either white or black on a negative space pour, and I used these three with a flip cup across the centre with a white background, and I really loved it. And I did actually mix the yellow and blue a little bit together too much. It ended up with more green than I wanted, but I loved it so much that it's been on the back of my mind ever since that I actually want to do this challenge again, but this time I'm going to do it against a black background. So I'm going to match the true primaries, the cyan, magenta and yellow with a black. So I'll do a flip cup in the centre, spread that up through the centre to get a multicoloured panel, and then put black on either side. So if I move these off for one moment, I've already prepared my canvas. This is an 11 by 14, and as you can see I've already painted black just around the sides and the corners and things, so that I don't have too much pressure to tilt the canvas too much so that it covers the sides, because the sides are already covered here. But it's the first time using a really nice canvas today, so I think this is what they call the gallery wrapped canvas. I've even taken the time to tape it off, but don't tell my husband how much I paid for this, because this was almost 3 hours wages, 3 hours of my husband's wages to buy this canvas. So I really need to make this painting a good one today. So I'm feeling the pressure a little bit. I'm feeling kind of nervous that I don't want to waste this really expensive canvas. I want to make something beautiful. So keep your fingers crossed for me. I'm going to clear this to one side, mix my paints, and then we'll get started. All of my paints 50-50 with Flood Floetrol, so I have as much paint as I have Floetrol in each of these, and then I've added water as necessary to get them to the right pouring consistency. For my additives, I've used the treadmill belt silicone in the white, oh where's my white, over here, in the white and the black, and also in the magenta, because this one was a pre-mixed one, and then I've put a drop of the True Feel dimethicone in the blue and the yellow, and I'm going to do a flip cup. So let me get started. Let's put these slightly off to one side. I just need to check that white. Yeah, that's okay. So last time I did it, I put the blue and the yellow together and I got more green than I wanted. So today I'm going to try and remember to do that a bit differently. Oops. So what shall I do first? Let's go with the blue. And then I'll put the magenta. So in theory, the blue and magenta should make a kind of a dark blue or a kind of a purple colour. And then I'll put the yellow. Yellow and magenta, I've got no idea what that's going to make, but no doubt we will find out. Putting that gently on the top, and then I'm going to finish off with some white. And again, I'm just going to try and pour that kind of gently on the top. Excuse the road noise. It's so hot here now in the Caribbean that I've got all the doors and windows open, so sometimes you can hear the sea in the background, because I have the sea on one side of the house, and on the other side of the house unfortunately there's a road. It's not very busy, but depending on which way the wind is blowing, sometimes you can hear the sea in the videos, which is very nice. Sometimes you can hear the road, which is obviously not so nice, but if I didn't have the windows open it would be too darned hot in here to paint anything. Okay, so I've got my cup and I'm going to do a flip, and I'm going to set the flip up first of all. So let me just turn that up into the center right there, and now I want to, when I'm going to flip, I'm actually going to spread it so that it's going to come in this direction. So I want some black on these sides, so I'm just going to pour it on now, and then I'll tip later on. when the cup is flipped, and hopefully it will be good. We will see. So if I put it in the middle, as I tip the flip cup up and down, hopefully the black will follow and I will get enough coverage. But I've got a stick, so I can always just spread that black paint out a little bit more if I need to. I wonder if I should just do a little bit of that anyway. That won't hurt, will it, if I spread it a little bit, I think, to start with. So let's make a start with that. Might also give a little bit of a boundary for where my colours are going to go. Okay, yeah, that's good. I've got plenty of black. I'm going to turn it round so that I don't got to lean over it. The number of times I've got paint in my armpit, I honestly don't know how that happens. But again, it's so hot in here that generally I'm just painting in like a sundress, you know, like a strapless dress, or a dress with little straps that go over the shoulder. And so when I lean across, I end up getting paint in my armpits. I don't know how this happens. But okay, let's get that black off of there. And I think we are ready. So let's give it a flip, and hopefully these lovely bright colours are going to come through and delight us without too much green this time. Let's see what happens. Yay! Looking good and not too much green. Oh, that does look good. I'm liking that a lot. That is very nice colours. Woohoo! Oh, and the cup. I remember the cup from last time when I did this mix before. Let me get a wooden stick. The cup was glorious, and this one looks the same. Oh, yeah, I'm going to scrape it. I'm going to get every little bit out. I almost didn't want to because it looked so nice. Sometimes I just like to take a picture of the cup and just look at that because it's so pretty. But there we go, cup done. Stick that in my water thing for later. So I don't need to do anything in terms of cells. My mix has already made all of the cells for me, so no torching required. All I'm going to do is now just tip this up this way and tip it back, and hopefully that will be my picture created as if by magic. Now I remember when I did it before, I tipped really, really fast for some reason, and again I'm a little bit anxious today because I have got this really nice canvas that I need to get a good result on. So I'm a bit nervous. I'm going to take it slow, keep things under control, keep those cells nice and intact and not falling apart. There we go. I don't want to just fill that little bit in. So let's encourage that down in that direction. That's good. Now I'm going to switch it 180. So because somehow tipping in that direction feels more natural, I think, for me, probably because I'm right-handed, so I lift up this way. So let's now just tip that back. I am liking the edges that I'm getting. The black paint is kind of holding the edge of this center panel in place and creating really nice distinct edges. I always love that contrast. The contrast with the bright colors and the black, it's just my favorite way to paint every time. Now these parts here are kind of getting longer and stretched out, and that looks really nice. Gives it a bit more of an interesting look. And of course, as I tilt, you can see how the cells, they may have started off quite small, but now that I'm moving the paint, whoops, to cover a larger area, oh, I need to deal with that. Whoa. There we go. Whoa, come on. It's because I've got that window open, and now the wind has changed and my paper's flapping up. If I wet it, it should be good. Okay, what was I talking about? I can't remember. There was a paper emergency, and I've forgotten what I was talking about. Cells, stretching cells. Yes, I can't remember what I was talking about, but anyway, there they go. They're stretching, and they're getting bigger and more distinct as they do so. And these ones around the outside here and here are getting really, really nice black outlines where the paint is spreading out slightly over this black background that I've got. So that looks really good. We're almost to the edge. I'm just going to let it run all the way over so that it looks uber cool. And now let it sit there for a second and just find its place before I decide whether I want to tip it back the other way. I actually like the way that it's kind of heavier at this point and then tapers off, and these parts are more stretched and these parts are kind of smaller. I like that look, so I may leave it as it is. I'm just going to finish now spreading out this black paint. That looks very glossy, very nice. Oh, it's quite thick here. I'm just going to pull it over the edge a little bit. I've got this paper so I can always scrape this extra black paint back up again, pop it in my cup or pack it in a squeezy bottle for another project. Much better than having it too thick on the canvas, because if I leave it too thick then it could cause cracking and so on while it's drying. So better to smooth it out so that I don't have as much, and I think that way I'll get a better result. Oh, that paper's coming up. This paper was a bad idea today, it seems, with the breeze coming through. But when I work with black paint, it seems so much more difficult to clean up, the black does, than the white. So I thought if I put the paper there, I could make my cleanup a bit easier. I'm not sure whether that's happening or not. It seems the paper is trying to stick on the painting now. Oh, just touched the edge with my stick. There we go, it'll be fine. One thing to be aware of, if I am going to thin out that paint, I don't want to touch the colour. I want that to have those nice distinct edges that it has. Okay. So where I've got some silicone in the black, and you can see it here and here, I'm getting a few areas where it's not adhering to the canvas properly, and of course a lot of the time you wouldn't really notice that, but when you're using a very black paint against obviously a white canvas, if there are any little areas like this where the paint kind of thins with the silicone, then you do get to see those. But I'm just going to keep an eye on it as it dries and just make sure that I can fill in any little bits with a brush, and it should be absolutely fine. But I probably didn't need any silicone in this black. Of course it was, I'm actually using up some that was pre-mixed from another project, so it already had it in it, therefore I hadn't really thought about that properly. But that's one thing to consider if you are doing a negative space. Consider about whether you actually need to put any silicone or additives in the colour which is going to be, you know, forming your base on the canvas. So I'm just going to dip around this other side now and spread out my black on here. Swipe my stick over the black, the worse I'm making it, because of course when you swipe you create the cells just from the friction, and so the more I'm doing it the worse I'm making it in terms of the black spots. So I'm just going to leave it for now. As it starts to dry I'll be able to fill those in with the black paint. Is going to be good. But one thing I did think, on this side of the painting just here I've got some little like little corners that are coming out, and I'm thinking that the painting is going to look good displayed this way. So this will be the top, this will be the bottom, and it's kind of dribbling down. But in order to emphasize that, I just want to make a few more little points like I've got over this side. I really like it. So I've got one of these, it's just like a paint, a pokey tool, and I'm just going to take a few little bits of the paint and just kind of drag it. I'm going to need to zoom you in, I think, to show you that. Just little one here, and then if I just do this, you see how it creates just like a little bit of paint. You probably can't see, it's very tiny little bit of paint that just kind of emphasizes that this is down, a bit like there are on this side. So I'm just going to drag a few more of those out a little bit just with my tool, just so that this side matches the other side a little bit more. But I don't want to overdo it, make it look too forced. But I think that's probably all it needs, a couple of little bits like that to make it look like that is down and this is up, if you know what I mean. So I'm just pulling the paint a little bit so that it emphasizes which way is down. I can show you more of the details on that when we come in for a closer look. So let's do that now, shall we? I'll show you some of these lovely details. Not as much as last time. I've got a lot more in the way of brighter colours this time. Turn off this light, see if it stops the glare. It does, but it makes it all look a bit darker, so I'm not sure which is better. We'll see. So here we are at the top and looking all the way down, and I think the way the paint is, that looks as though it should be oriented that way. And these on the side here, just what I was saying about how naturally there were little edges to the paint. You see where it looked as though it was going little points that were pointing down. So I've replicated that over on this side with my tool, just by dragging the paint down a little bit in a few places, so that it looks a little bit more balanced there. But I think you can see the colours on this one. If you want to make something nice and bright, this cyan, magenta and yellow, it's just glorious. Just look at that. Absolutely wonderful. So I'm really loving it, and the contrast obviously with the black is what makes me very, very happy indeed. So I'm going to dry this one off. I'm just going to show you these little spots here where I'm getting. I really shouldn't have put any silicone or whatever in that black, or I should have mixed up a new black more likely that didn't have any silicone in it, but I'll just take care of these as it's drying. And I think swiping over with my stick didn't help where I was trying to pull off the excess, but it'll all be fine. And if you can hang around a little bit longer, I will dry this one off and finish it, and I'll provide at the end a look at what it looks like when it's all finished. So here it is finished, and I have to say I love this painting. Oh my word, it's just my style. It's so such a lot of high contrast, you know, the black with the really bright, vibrant colours. I just love this so much. It's exactly my style. So thank you very much for following along with the video. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. And of course, hop on over to the acrylicpouring.com blog and check out a lot of more articles over there about acrylic pouring. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.